Today about literature discussion groups. This is an article written by P. Pittman and B. Hotchell. National and state reading standards have been changing ever since the country has had a drop in reading scores. This means that teachers are having to adapt to changes in the school system and having to help an ever-growing diverse population become proficient readers. This is a difficult task when so many students are of different races, ethnicities, religions, and learning abilities, but all of them are seeking an education. As teachers, we're called to help every single student accomplish the difficult task of reading, no matter their language, no matter where they're from, no matter if they've never read before. Teachers are called to help these students become proficient readers, but sometimes it's really hard to find strategies that work for every student in your classroom. What do we do to help such a diverse population of students learn how to read? Well, I found an article that was a group of researchers in southeastern United States who decided they wanted to create and test a strategy called literature discussion groups. I know when you hear that it sounds really simple and really self-explanatory, but sometimes the simplest things can be the most powerful strategies to use and help students. These LDGs, or literature discussion groups, were designed to help promote critical thinking, reflection of a passage, and problem solving. All of these are key tasks that students need to use to be able to comprehend reading, and these literature discussion groups are exactly meant for that task. In this article, the researchers went to a K-8 Title I school in the southeastern United States of America. There were 45 seventh graders that were studied in this test. However, they only wanted to really focus on 16 of the struggling readers because these groups are designed to help improve comprehension, which is something that most struggling readers have difficulty doing. This group of students were then split up into two more groups, and these were the LDGs. These literature discussion groups consisted of 6 10-minute sessions where the students would read a passage, and mid-sentence or mid-reading they would stop and they would participate in the literature discussion groups. Through the course of almost a month, they then collected data through surveys, student-made booklets, and audio-recorded conversations. All this data that was collected from the surveys and the booklets and the recordings were then studied by the researchers. They took time to look at every single student's work and look at their beginning, their middle, and their end, and how their comprehension grew through this. After they analyzed the data, they found two major themes. The first theme is that students enjoyed reading more when they were in these literature discussion groups, which honestly makes a lot of sense to me. We've been learning all throughout our education as teachers that socializing is a key aspect for learning. Vygotsky told us students need to be scaffolded by teachers. They need to see others working. They need help to accomplish different tasks. The zone of proximal development even talks about how it's that range where they can almost do it by themselves, but they need help. They need assistance. And these literature discussion groups simply do that. They allow students to come together and to read books and to do it at a pace which is comfortable for them. Sometimes students feel uncomfortable when a whole classroom is reading together, but they're not understanding anything at all. These discussion groups allow the students to really enjoy reading, which, to be honest, there's a lot of adults out there that don't enjoy reading, or some of them struggle with reading. And we have seen reading is a key aspect to a very good life. If you can't read, it's difficult to get a job, and it's difficult to run a household, and it just makes for a difficult life. So as teachers, helping students to enjoy reading is a small step towards helping them enjoy learning, which is the key in reality of our job, is to give knowledge to the students and to have them enjoy it. The data even proved that students enjoyed reading far more in the discussion groups than by themselves. Almost 12 of the 16 struggling readers said that they enjoyed it afterwards in their student surveys. Before, only 3 of them had said they enjoyed reading. That's a lot of students and a lot of progress that went towards the enjoyment of reading. But what's even more amazing is this isn't the only thing that was discovered in these groups. Students were able to comprehend the text even better. What is the purpose of reading? The purpose of reading is to understand what the author's trying to tell you. If you don't understand what the author's telling you, you're not really reading. And if you don't understand it, you can't answer questions about it. You can't discover new meanings. You can't find morals of a book or gain any new insight. Comprehension is the very first step to reading. And that is what these discussion groups were all about. They were about teaching comprehension. The audio recorded conversations provided the most evidence and examples that students enjoyed reading, but also that they comprehended the text even more. Over and over again, the article mentioned different examples of how students would stop mid-sentence and discuss topics they didn't understand. They would analyze words that were complex, or they would simply ask if anyone didn't understand. This time and effort and attention given to such a small group of students helped them in the long run. While it may have been time consuming for the teachers, the students were able to answer questions and give descriptive analysis of the books they read. And these weren't just children's books or picture books, they were complex chapter books that 7th graders and 8th graders would read. And these were struggling readers. So it was amazing to see that the students stopped to make sure that they understood what they were reading before they even went on. This is a technique that not a lot of students have, but these struggling readers were fostering this technique and this skill in themselves as they were participating in the many LDG sessions. Eventually, the students were able to fully comprehend the text. They could read independently, they could stand up in front of their class and present information clearly and without hesitation. They knew exactly what they were reading. This was such a jump from where they began to where they are now, and it was amazing to read how overall this article proves that students comprehend and enjoy reading better when they're in a group. We've always known this. Students need to socialize. Humans need to socialize. We need to express what we're learning, to ask questions, to seek information. And classrooms should be exactly that. They should allow students to explore the world around them, to ask clarifying questions, and the teacher's supposed to assist and help. And we can do this with the literature discussion groups, just like the article mentioned. These groups are great with any type of text, fiction or nonfiction. And I personally think they could be used in any kind of subject. You could use these discussion groups in social studies, science, math. You could use them to help understand the planets and use these groups as projects and teams. It's a great way for students to grow with one another, but also be able to rely on one another for help and assistance where one teacher might have difficulty assisting 26 very diverse students. One of the biggest things that I learned from this article was that socializing is a key to learning. We need to interact with others. We need to hear others' opinion, but we also need to be able to express our opinion. And as teachers, we need to let students do that. So I encourage you, let your classroom be friendly and open to questions, and promote the fact that anyone can learn and everyone can gain knowledge. It's not just a teacher or adults, because eventually those students will be our future, and I for one want to help promote the future to be a little better than it is today. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.